Welcome back to UNX Fast Forward. I'm Chris DeGangi.
And I'm Ethan Swanson, and we are coming off of Ultimate Ninjas in St. Louis qualifier. For the third round of qualifiers, a course put together by Jamie Ron, and it was awesome.
I don't think it's too crazy to say that this was our most insane open qualifier that we've had so far.
I don't think it's too crazy. I think it's perfect to say that. But I mean, this is part of our season. You now have 3 men, 3 women making their way to the third major event, and we're still looking for our top 8 on both the men's and women's side to make it to the championship event February 16th.
Yeah, and some big implications coming out of this competition when it comes to the season standings. But let's take a look at the course. It was a 3-minute, 45-second time limit.
Yeah, a little bit tighter than what we normally see, but it was super technical. A lot of new moves that Jamie Ron, the madman, created. He's a maniac.
Jamie's been in the game for so long and so creative with this course. I love some of the movements, some of the new things that we've seen, especially that ladder limbo.
Yeah, but let's get right into the results. And taking our third qualifying spot, taking 4th place, Johnny Wilder, coming out of nowhere. You know, we don't see him compete that often, but when you do see him compete, he does stuff like this and just crushes it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen him compete in the UNX before, but definitely not an underdog. This guy is extremely strong, and I expected him to do really well at this competition, and he's coming to the major.
Yeah, and he got to the last obstacle in 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Couldn't finish that last obstacle, the logic maze, but it took out a lot of athletes. But taking our next qualifying spot, 3rd place, but 2nd qualifying spot, goes to RJ Roman. He was one of the last runners and went at a blazing pace, faster than anybody else, and he got to the last obstacle in 2 minutes and 16 seconds.
Well, he went so fast. He had so much time to rest there, and then I think he just panicked a little bit, tried to make an early dismount, didn't finish the course, but it doesn't matter because he's coming to the major. But somebody who did finish the course, Michael Torres, gets the qualifying spot. Torres on the season leaderboard. He's in a good spot, and he's coming back to the third major.
And he was the last runner of the day. So we're talking about RJ Rowan being second last and Michael Torres being last. I said it the whole competition. If you aren't in first place by the time RJ runs, you're not safe. And they weren't. 2 people got bumped out by RJ and Torres as the last 2 runners.
Yeah, I mean, it proved fatal for Dave Kavanaugh, who just got bumped out. But then in first place, Kaden Lebsack, already guaranteed to the third major, but at the same time, such a huge performance.
This kid is a phenom.
Monster.
I've been saying he's the future of Ninja, but he's also the present of Ninja. I mean, first place in this field of athletes. We talked about it being like a mini major. This was an insane competition. I haven't seen many competitions, if any at all, with this stacked of a field.
It was absolutely stacked, and for Kaden to come in and be only one of 2 finishers, I mean, he's proven it time and time again, but you look at this and he's amazing.
But he was also the first finisher. He broke through when so many could not. We were wondering, are we going to get a finisher on this course? And Kaden broke through when nobody else could.
I mean, yeah, it's awesome performance, and we'll see him back at the major. But then, looking over at the women's side of things.
And our third qualifier in 4th place, Ava Long, is going to be making her way to the majors for the first time. And, you know, getting to the acorn really fast, getting there in 1 minute and 42 seconds, but came up a little bit short. It was such a weird move, and how that acorn is so heavy.
Yeah, and actually Ava trains with RJ, so the 2 of them coming to the major together, that's going to be an interesting dynamic, you know, coach-student relationship there. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome to see.
That's so cool. And then taking our next qualifying spot, 2nd qualifier, taking 3rd place, goes to Jessie Beyer, one of my students I used to coach, and she's such a great kid, but, you know, she beat the acorn and then fell right over past the pad and didn't even get a chance to try the monkey lock, but I think she was just thinking, let me just get past this acorn. This thing is so brutal.
Well, the acorn was so heavy, you could see how hard it was for some of the athletes to get moving, and Jessie definitely one of the lighter competitors, and I'm extremely impressed at her beating that obstacle.
Yeah, me too, and taking 2nd place, but already qualified, one of your students, Maggie Owen.
Maggie Owen, first place on the season, guaranteed already the championship, comes in and takes 2nd place. Couldn't quite figure out the monkey lock, but in first place, and this is huge for her. In 9th place on the season, Rachel Brown is coming back to the major.
And she needed to do so. Like you said, 9th place in the season, which means if she doesn't go to the 3rd major, she cannot make the championship. But now she still has to bump her way into the top 8, which is going to be difficult, but she's in charge of her own destiny, you know?
Well, if you're sitting in the top 8 right now, watch out, because Rachel Brown is coming for you.
Well, Elena Borges, unfortunately, didn't make it, and she is in third place, so she's probably thinking, oh no, Rachel Brown could bump me out.
Well, yeah, I mean, Elena Borges not coming back. She's in third place, so she's in a decent spot. But yeah, I mean, you gotta watch out here.
Yeah, a lot of success on this course, but also a lot of not success in this course. And going into our close calls, first of which, Nick Fordney. Oh my gosh, he had the chance to be the first finisher, and he actually finished the course, but 2 seconds over the time limit.
Yeah, and I thought he was taking a nice methodical approach to his course run, but at the same time, 2 seconds is like an extra swing here or there. It's just barely missing the mark.
That's a breath. You go like this, and then start an obstacle, and that literally is the difference. I mean, and because of that, if he was 2 seconds faster, he would have been qualified, and he missed out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot for him. And then a really tough spot for Dave Kavanaugh, who just got bumped out at the very last runner when Torres came in and finished.
Yep.
And for somebody like Dave, has a lot of points on the season, and so not getting back here, that's a tough spot to be in.
But he's an East Coaster. I think we're probably going to see him at Real Life Ninja Academy, and he has another opportunity to qualify, but that's going to be stacked also.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough competition. The East Coast is so condensed with a level of talent, but, unfortunate for Dave just missing out. And then Thomas Stillings.
Oh, man, such a close call is, he went for an early dismount because he was getting stuck a little bit in crunch for time on that last obstacle logic maze, and he hit the landing platform, but just barely not enough, falls backwards, and doesn't clear the course.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see a different strategy there, but at the same time, if it had worked, we'd be sitting here saying, oh, that's so genius. But, Jamie thought about that early dismount, I think, and he knew it was going to be far for these competitors.
Well, we tested that thing every which way and seeing it, and it is possible, but, man, it is so difficult, especially when you're that pumped on a course. But Thomas just missing out again. He's been 5th place a couple times in these qualifiers, and now this close finish again. He's been on the fringe of making the majors.
Yeah,
just really missing out.
Really tough for Thomas there.
And those were the close calls. We also have some shocking falls. People we expected to definitely go farther. Starting, you have to bring up Jake Murray. He's sitting in 1st place on the season, and him not qualifying, that's a shock to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a shock, but at the same time, this obstacle that he went down on, the ladder limbo, I don't know if it's such a technical, difficult move, and he was early in the run order, and so it's so tough for that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. He was the 2nd person to try it. Caleb Bergstrom tried it before him, and so he was only, I think, the 7th runner on the day. So you're kind of figuring out you gotta guess a couple things a little bit right, and I think he's just a little wrong going to that bottom rung, and that was the end of his run, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, one that surprised me even more was my top pick coming into this competition. Donovan Matoyer tapped his foot down on the rock wall and just ended his run
right at the dismount. And I think that's what we see from Donovan is he's been really consistent, but he goes at a blazing fast pace, and sometimes
I love it.
So I know, and I love it too, but sometimes he makes little mistakes, and most of the time he makes those mistakes and he's good enough where he recovers. But this was one of the cases where he was going too fast. I think he wasn't thinking about his feet and just popped down, and that was it. And you saw him immediately, he steps off and almost he DQ'd himself.
Yeah,
he knows.
He knew it before Jamie even said anything.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, that's a tough break. I mean, he is sitting in 2nd, so he's got a shot at the championship. I don't know if we'll see him at another qualifier, but but another one was Elena Borges.
Yeah, another athlete taken out by that same obstacle ledge climb a little bit earlier in the obstacle, but Elena, she's so good and so strong. I think she's got rock climbing in her background. And, we saw her, I think it's just the wrong strategy trying to drop down below the longer ledge, and that was just it.
Yeah, that's a really tough break for her, especially where she's at on the season, and I was shocked at that point.
Yeah, me too, and she's sitting in 3rd place, but she still, I think even if she doesn't go to the major, I think she still will probably make the championship, but that's a scary spot to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another guy that this was probably my biggest shock was Sam Folsom, going out so early on the 4th obstacle, and we know Chris loves him, and I do too, but just a little bit short on that jump to the balance beam, and foot popped off, and that was the end of his run.
Well, this was a huge shock for me. Obviously, I've been no stranger to talking about how much I love this kid, but it just misplaced his foot, slipped off, and honestly, I expected him to do really well, especially this is his home gym. And so, and he's in some trouble now because he's sitting in like 11th,
10th place.
10th place on the season. So,
right.
I don't know.
I wonder if we're going to see him, because right now, unless he makes it to the major, he doesn't have a chance of making the championship. So I wonder if we're going to see him at real life or if we're going to see him at Jungle Gym. Those are the only two chances left to make the third major, and for him, then make the championship.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think he's traveled before to other open qualifiers, so we'll have to see.
I hope we see him.
I hope
he's awesome.
Sam, come back.
But another guy, Jessie Lacera, hasn't made it to a major yet, but he missed out the last week movement lap by 1 qualifying spot in 5 seconds. And seeing him go down where he did, he was using the figure 4 technique and just popped out of the monkey lock.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking pretty solid. I liked the technique that he was using, and like before I knew it, he was popped right off. And so tough break, and especially coming off a movement lap where I thought he had a really good chance to qualify. Unfortunately, didn't make it.
And our last shocking fall, the first runner of the day, unfortunately for him, Caleb Bergstrom. I don't know why he keeps getting put at like the beginning of the run order, but it's so tough. He went to the bottom rung just like Jake did, but I think he's so tall. You see him so scrunched up down there, and he just popped right off the same ladder.
Yeah, I mean, the run order is randomized before every competition. Unfortunately, Caleb drew that first spot, and you don't get to see anybody go before you. And so, you know, after we saw kind of Jake and Caleb fall there, a lot of athletes started to change the strategy. Just a really, really tough break for Caleb.
And he's sitting in top 5 in our season standings, but he will not be making it to Real Life Ninja Academy, and he's hosting Jungle Gym. So it's kind of for him like a hope I hang on for the championship, and it's not in his control anymore if he makes the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. You know, make sure you guys are watching that leaderboard and kind of seeing where Caleb is. I mean, he might start dropping one spot by one spot, and we'll see if he can hang on.
Yep. But, I mean, that's the thing, is there's so many shocking falls because there's so many amazing athletes, so many amazing moments, and we can't go over all of them today. We're going to go over the rest of them on Wednesday, so make sure you guys come back. We're going to go over ninja killers, some stats, some obstacle highlights, big-time moments, all the fun stuff. Yeah, me too. It's big time. But so make sure you guys check it out, unxnow.com or on YouTube. On Wednesday, that episode of Fast Forward is going to be available. But until then, I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Chris Ganji, and we will see you guys next time.